the past few weeks, the new integrated customs management system has come under a lot of flack. Key among the challenges that GUTA, that is the Ghana Union of Traders Association, has mentioned is the fact that it's not as smooth as they had anticipated it to be. Today, we are here to speak to Norvan Akwa-Hayford. He is the Public Relations Manager for Ghana Link Network Services Limited, the managers of the ICOM system. Thank you very much, Norvan Akwa-Hayford, for joining us today. My first question to you would have to be on GUTA's key concern. They say because of delays in the ICOM system, they are paying more for rent and demurrages. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much, George Navo. I think that when it comes to the issue of rent and demurrage, that is beyond us at Ghana Link Network Services. But first of all, let me say that I can understand the situation. I commensurate with them with some few delays that some of them might have experienced at the port last week. And I would want to just say that we all need to remain calm. It's a new regime that we find ourselves in terms of the port management systems that we have at the port. Remember that hitherto we had the Ghana Customs Management System, that is the GCMS, or you may call it GIMIX, that was being run by GCNet and also West Blue at the ports. Now, if you take a look at on the 1st of June when the ICOMS was rolled out, you would want to know that, or it would interest you to know that there were some clearing agents or importers who had begun the process of trying to clear their goods at the port using the old system. So clearly they had raised their BOEs, Bill of Entries. You know, after a ship comes in, they release a manifest that goes to GCNet that, you know, then is sent to the GRE people. It's out of this manifest, which has a lot of containers that various agents and various importers would want to, you know, clear their goods from. So they raised what we call the Bill of Entries, the BOEs. And so a lot of BOEs had been processed the previous week before in the old system. And so when this happened, the GRA officials did come up with some kind of arrangement to help, you know, these freight forwarders or clearing agents and importers for them to clear their goods. I think that the challenge has been shipping lines' inability to assess the documents, you know, and also authenticate the various payments that, you know, these agents claim they have made. But then a flow chart was released last week together with the processes and how it ought to be done in terms of clearing. In fact, I will read a letter that was written by the sector commander, that is Joseph Eduche, who had written to the president of shipping lines and consolidators in this country. And permit me to read this letter. It says, Directive on Release of Cargo. Because when you speak about what is happening at the port, someone will say, if we're paying, if BOEs are going through and whatever, our cargo is being released. This is one of the questions that I would like to address in this interview. Of course, in this letter, the sector commander writes, and I quote him, he says, the sector commander's attention has been drawn to the frustrations faced by clients of some shipping lines in respect to release of cargoes. That is to admit that it's not all the shipping lines who are applying the rule of we are not seeing the system, and so we are unable to allow you to, you know, release you so that you can go and get your cargoes out of the port. You understand? The letter goes on. It says, please kindly inform your members to go ahead to release cargoes and then send email of same to info.icoms@gra.gov.gh. And then the ending of this letter, which is very crucial and critical for all of us, is this directive applies to only GCNet BOEs. So it clearly talks about the old system, and that's what has brought some kind of challenge at the port today. And I hear people who talk about, oh, we have moved to manual, and it breaks my heart because a lot of the BOEs had already been processed in the old system.
So what you're saying basically is that some of the challenges that we are facing, or I mean the freight forwarders are facing at the
I
port,
encountered, yes.
are partly due to the fact that they are still, is it using the old system? I'm
It's
not
not,
really
it's not,
clear
it's not
about
that
that.
they're using the old system. The old system has been shut down.
Yes,
You
that's how it's
understand?
supposed to be.
But prior to the week when the shutdown did happen, most of them had processed their BOEs in that system. In fact, some had done payments at the bank. And obviously, as a freight forwarder, don't forget that when your ship comes in, you have some number of days after which rent and demurrage kicks in. Some are 5 days, some are more, some are less, depending on which shipping line you're dealing with, whether it's Mex, Bolare, or whichever shipping line that you're dealing with. You understand? So a lot of clearing agents try their best to clear their goods within the free period that they have before rent and demurrage will kick in, because that would obviously raise the cost in terms of the duties and the fees that you need to pay to these shipping line. You understand? It will obviously raise your cost.
My worry, I want to move on to another question, but I
Yes.
want us to clear this whole issue about the challenges first. Of course, that is why we are here, but your mention of the fact that some of the freight forwarders were still using the GCNES system, it's not very clear for me. When you took over on June 1, were you not supposed to have taken over from there?
Yeah, very interesting question, and thank you very much for this question. You would ordinarily think that data is what we should have to continue.
Great.
And that's why you're asking this question. But it would be interesting, let me put it on record. GCNet had not handed over the data they were supposed to hand over to GRA to enable us to continue with that data.
Have you gone ahead to ask them to give it to you?
That's something between them and GRA officials and the government of Ghana. I don't have any contract, or Ghana Link, we do not have any contract with GCNet. Do you understand? GCNet has a contract with the government of Ghana through the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division to provide a particular service. The government decided to abrogate it. And so we are hoping, I know that there are some discussions that are going on. We are hoping that that will happen. But what I'm saying is that, let me just also put this on record, that prior to the 1st of June, the trade minister with the Commissioner General acting, Amishadai Osu, had visited the port and had various meetings with leadership of the various stakeholders, shipping lines, consolidators, terminal operators, freight forwarders, and all that. And one of the suggestions that the trade minister had made to clearing agents, especially the executive at the time, was that he was pleading that if you knew that you can clear your goods before the 1st of June using the old system, go ahead and do it. But if you knew it wasn't possible, he was admonishing that people should use the new system, which was the ICOMS, which was operational at the time, even though we had not gone fully live. Well, I can understand. People are comfortable with what they have. New system comes, people need to go through the processes and learn and all that. But you see, already your goods are in. The ship is in. It's berth and it's at anchorage, at the port. And the shipping line also would not want to also incur rent costs by overstaying the period they have given them when they are at anchorage at the port. You understand? And so if they said 5 days, let's make sure that all the containers are carried in and then they are gated in at the various terminals, which is being MPS or Golden Jubilee or any of the ICDs, which is the inland container depots. They would want to do that as quickly as possible. But that would mean that the freight forwarder or the client agent will have to start filling in all the documentations and then be able to process the BOE, Bill of Entry, which can bring about the carry in and gated in, and then they can continue from there and get the release of their containers, and then they can move on after they have done payments and the rest at the port.
So clearly, your lack of data from the previous managers of the port system is scuttling your activities.
That is not really the case. Anybody who started a fresh declaration, and remember, we're talking about two different things here. You're talking of somebody who had, processed his BOE in the old system and had gone very far and probably done payments at the bank. This new system, which is the ICOMS, is the system where people were supposed to do fresh declarations. But depending on what stage you were, okay, in terms of the clearing process with your BOE, the GRA officials were going to instruct you, who are the main users of the system, were going to instruct you to start all over again, or then they had that arrangement per which I even read this letter, which was sent to the Shipping Lines Association of Ghana, their president. You understand? Because what government did not want to do, or what GRA did not want to do, was burden people and say, everybody go and start all over again. If you've done duties payment at the bank, how are you supposed to go and start all over again?
There have been
You're-
calls. There have been calls. I'm asking this question also because there have been calls for GCNet and West Blue to sort of come in and try to help, not you, not because a system is not efficient, but to facilitate the process of clearing and maybe bring an end to these feeding challenges that we are having at the port. Is this something that you ascribe to?
Well, that should be the decision of government. I mean, I cannot, as I sit here for and on behalf of Ghana Link, the decision for us to go live, it was government
But
directives.
do you think it's a good idea? If
Well,
GCNet comes in with data to
I
help you?
cannot speak to that. I'm sorry, George. I mean, this is something that is purely the government of Ghana will have to. But I think that the government knows where they are heading to and exactly what they want to do in terms of who should manage the port management systems for them.
All right.
In fact, the ICOMS, as you see it, is a system that is an end-to-end system, very robust, has a lot of compliance. It closes a lot of the bottlenecks that
Leads
we
me to my
have.
next question
You
anyway.
understand? And so you have a system that is has a single window, and it's also an end-to-end system where, an agent or an importer who wants to do self-declaration does not have to necessarily go into one system and go into another one. Don't forget, in the old system that we had, you needed to go in, start your process, your UCR, you needed to go into the pass, which was being managed by West Blue, and then after that, you then have to go into another system,
Compliance and
which
etc.
is go into the GCNet system, and then it moves on and on and on and on and on. You understand?
Right,
But here,
right.
we're saying that you sit behind your computer in your home or wherever. It is one-stop system, an end-to-end. You get in there, you create your BOEs through your CCRs and all that. If everything is fine, and then the customs, I think, supports technical bureau, can do the valuation and classification and say that everything is okay. You go to the bank and do your payment. You get me? So clearly, you get to understand that government has envisaged and is trying to help, even importers to be lesser burdened in terms of how they go about their work at the port. It's the reason why we have the ICOMS. You understand me? The turnaround
But the
time is being dealt
the
with.
challenges that Guta and other freight forwarders Guta basically, they've been very vociferous about
But
the
I've
challenges.
explained it to you,
Very
George.
good. They exist.
That
They are
before
not-
you go on.
These challenges, they exist. You've given possible reasons why
Yes.
these could be. What is Ghana Link doing to solve these challenges, irrespective of what is causing them or where they are coming from?
If you're asking me a challenge with regards to people not knowledge gap, let me use the word knowledge gap. Let's say freight forwarding is not really understanding the new system.
Yeah.
The
That could be
answer,
one.
the answer is very simple.
Great.
Today, as I speak to you today, Monday, okay? Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we're doing refresher course, okay?
For the freight
For
forwarders.
freight forwarders in terms of refresher training.
Explain
We've done,
how is it
when
gonna
I say
be like?
refresher training, I mean we've done a lot of training for them, but we've come to appreciate the fact that not everybody is conversant with what they're supposed to be doing, okay? Not all of them have come to know the system that they're supposed to be doing. And so for that matter, refresher training and continuous training is very critical in this regard to help them so they can do what they have to do. It is one of the reasons why we're doing this refresher training, which is happening at the GIFS conference room as we speak. It's today, it's tomorrow,
So
and it's
refresher
Wednesday.
course for the freight
Exactly,
forwarders.
because you see, George, let me give you an analogy.
What about
if you
technical challenges? Are there
I'm,
no
I'm,
technical
I'm coming. Let me
challenges
give
that
you an
want to-
analogy why we needed to do this continuous training. I mean, if you got a mobile phone, okay, you were using, let's say, a Samsung mobile phone, By the time you want to get an iPhone, because you're not an iPhone user, it will take you time to understand that particular phone. It is the continuous use of it that you'll be able to do that. And I mean, I have seen freight forwarders who are very good, who have learned and are even helping their fellow men or their fellow freight forwarders to be able to understand this. Beyond that, George, one of the things we have done also is to put people at strategic areas at the port. So
You mean
MPS,
Ghana
Ghana
drivers?
Link and GRA.
Okay.
So go to the MPS terminal, go to transit, go to the long room, go to Golden Jubilee, go to the various depots that we have. All those places we have posted or positioned technical people to support people in what they do, even at the shipping lines. And beyond that, one of the things we've also done is to put together what we call the rapid response team. And this rapid response team, when the people on ground are facing challenges or they're overwhelmed, what they also do is to come in and help and ensure that, the agents' work is done as smooth as they can. And that is what is happening, George. And so we have the call center, which is also one of the places that you can call. We have a number that has been well advertised among the freight forwarders and clearing agents that we have. We have an email. In fact, if you go to the ICOMS portal today, which is UNI PASS Ghana, today as we speak, George, at the left-hand corner down, it's a text button that has been put there so that if you were on the website and you were filling in your bill of entries or your documentations and all that, and there was a challenge, okay, you cannot, how do I call it, or you were facing any kind of challenge, you can go in there and type and you'll be responded to in real time. There's somebody at the back end who will help you to deal with that. And so I must say that we are dealing with all these things. And I think that at the end of the day, we will be fine.
Okay. Let's talk about revenue. It's perhaps the most critical issue because I believe it's government's key reason for choosing you over the old service providers. How much have you made so far? Do you have a figure that you can quote since you took over the system?
No, I mean, I cannot really tell you what we've done across the country today. I mean, I will check and definitely get back to you. Sorry, in terms of the amount of revenue that we've generated for government, and that has to be system generated because everybody gets to see it as it should be. So I can get back to you. But in Tema, I mean, I saw stories even on Ghana Web that indicated clearly that we had done over 4,700 BOEs that have been processed. And let's get the distinction. To process a BOE doesn't mean payment has been done.
Fair enough.
We process the BOE and then payments are done, and then you can go ahead and move on to the other stages of the process, George. Right now, what I can remember, and one of the stories that I also saw, was 177.3 million at Tema Port in
Ghana
1 week.
cedis.
Ghana cedis, yes, in 1 week. You understand? That tells you that even though we started on this, because on Monday we had done around 400 BOEs, it moved to about, 600 thereabout. On Tuesday, came to around 900 on Wednesday. And these are daily figures I'm giving you. It's not that you are building up on it. On Thursday, it was 1,000, I think 200 or thereabout. On Friday, 1,000, whatever. Even on Saturday and Sunday, George, processes were still doing things, or in terms of we're processing more BOEs. And so today, I'm sure that a lot of BOEs have been released so that, agents can go do payments and then follow up. And that's in the ICOMS that I'm talking about. So at the port, I want us and our viewers to understand that there are two main issues. That is not to say that we're not admitting to challenges that these freight forwarders are facing. I want to say that we need to be calm at this stage and cooperate with the GRA and the Ghana Link officials. Whatever challenges that are there, I can assure my brothers and sisters that each and every one of them will be resolved. In fact, I give thumbs up to Madam Annabelle, who is the head of the Customs Support Technical Bureau, and his team. I think Mr. Kessie and talk of, I think Mr. Koto also. They have worked overnight. In fact, yesterday, which was a Sunday as well, these people were working even from home. That is what a lot of people do not know.
Still on
Customs
revenue,
officials are really working
I
hard.
appreciate your responses, but
Yeah.
staying on revenue, there have been suggestions. One of these suggestions has come from Think Tank Imani. They believe that you may not be able to raise the expected or the projected 10 billion Ghana cedis that if the old service provider had been in place would have raised.
Are you talking about how many in terms of 10 billion? Is it a month, a day, or
no,
what? A year,
between
or what?
By the close of the year.
Obviously,
they were projecting.
Obviously, George.
Ghana was
I am coming in. I'm
10
coming on it.
billion.
I'm coming
Is
in.
this something you want to do? Because key, and I repeat, is critical to this whole conversation is the revenue that will accrue to government. If you will not be able to deliver on it, then of course we may have taken a bad step.
George, it's not true. I mean, first and foremost, we're in COVID times. There was no way, even if it was the old vendors who were there, they were going to be able to meet revenue targets. We've seen the finance minister do a lot of revision of its revenue targets. Okay? Beyond that, I am taking over in June. Unless, Imani is saying that half year, their government was looking at raising 10 billion at the port. But that is not the case. I hope you understand me. At this time that we have come in, we can assure you that you will see month on month when things have stabilized and then a lot more of the BOEs now have to go through the icons. I can assure you that you would see the difference between the old system and the new system. It is not only about the convenience to the clearing agents or the importer. It's also about blocking a lot of the loopholes. In fact, compliance in the ICOMS is top notch. In fact, the ICOMS was built to the standards of the World Customs Organization across the world. In fact, it got to a point that even the freight forwarder said, can we change certain things? One of the things you must remember that it's been tailor-made to fit us here in Ghana. Now in Ghana, when we're doing imports, we do vehicle and personal effects. But the world standard, an import of vehicle must be done with vehicle and goods must be done separately. That's the world standard.
Sure.
But in Ghana, it is allowed where we do import of vehicles with personal effect, which means that the system needed to be tweaked to suit us so that the government does not say compulsorily, if you're bringing in a vehicle, we just want you to bring only vehicle. If you're bringing personal effects, which is goods, it's only goods. This is what we have done over the years. And the developers took that into consideration, tweaked the system to fit the Ghanaian, regime that we have in terms of port management system. And so all these things have been done in order to help. But compliance is so key, and it is something that the GRA and the government is not reneging on to ensure that the loopholes within the system. Today, let me talk about manifest. Now, when a manifest is uploaded by a shipping line, every stakeholder sees it. So MPS sees it, GPA sees it, the EMDAs, they see it. The customs officials themselves, they see it. And Ghana Link sees it. How on earth will you be able to take goods out of the port without paying the right duties? Because when you go to MPS terminal that you want to clear that goods, don't forget that they also charge their fees based on the amount of duties that you are using to clear. So they charge a percentage of that. So if you doctor the documents, what do you think will happen? It means that you are reducing their revenues. And they won't allow that because they would have seen the manifest that was uploaded by the shipping line. So it doesn't give room for anybody to do anything. That is transparency, which has been brought into the port management systems.
My final question
yes,
will be when you think this whole issue, some have described it as chaos at the port since you assumed services. When do you think it will see a let-up or totally be resolved?
I think that there is no chaos at the port. There might be challenges, which I would admit to, but I explained to you the two things that are happening at the port in terms of the fact that we have fresh declarations which are going through the icons. Yes, knowledge gap, retraining, some few challenges here and there, people filling in the documentation, some few mistakes. All these things are being corrected. And I can assure you that this week will be better than last week, because every new thing that comes in, there are some challenges that we face. When MPS, opened up, we know the noise that was made in terms of, and that they are delaying us and we don't understand the system. If you are in this country in 2015, when West Blue came in, after the 5 destination inspection companies, their job had been taken away from them and then was given to West Blue to do. We know the noise that, was done by clearing agents and all that. And this system, in fact, for close to over 3 months, they had to learn severally. Certain different systems had to be put in place to ensure that clearing still went on, so as people will be trained and become comfortable with it. Let's go back to 2000, when GCNet was brought in. Before you do that, let me land on this one. Let's go back to 2000, 2003, when GCNet had to start the system here. We know the challenges that, even when we're moving from that school at the time, these challenges were there. But I keep saying that challenges will come, but the rate and the speed at which you address the problem for our brothers, the freight forwarders, because nobody wants to pay demurrage. Nobody wants to pay, rent, which is above what they have to pay. Mm-hmm. So you don't create problems for shipping lines, neither do you create problems for the freight forwarders. And that is what the GRA officials and Ghana Link officials are doing. And that's how come different processes have been put in place. I only beg my brothers and sisters, my aunties, my mothers, my uncles, that we need to just follow the processes and make sure that we can get cargo released. And, the shipping lines also will have to remember what they've been told by the GRA, that BOEs, with respect to GCNet, they should ensure that they release the cargo and send an email so that the customs officials will, clear for these things to be moved out of the port. We need, because at the end of the day, government, what it wants to do in the ease of doing business, the World Bank report, they want to be able to be seen as we're doing better than we're doing. Because several reports from the World Bank had indicated that, looking at the volumes of goods that goes through our ports, it will interest you to know if they match that to revenue, there's some discrepancy, because they feel that Ghana can do more than what they are doing. And so we are hoping and saying that we need to all cooperate among ourselves. I'll plead with them. I can understand their plight. When there are challenges, it might lead to demurrages, and nobody wants that. And I don't think even the president of Ghana would like to do that. Neither the chairman of my company would want to see people go through these challenges. We just need to all follow the processes and bear with the government and the GRA and hope that, it's something that this too, they say, shall pass.
Norvan Akwa-Hayford, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, George. I'm grateful.